you just got back from D.C. literally. So did you, ironically enough.
Yeah, we missed each other.
Yeah.
Can you tell us and the public a little, I know a lot about it, but not as much as you, obviously, what you and your cohort were out there accomplishing?
Yeah.
And the part that blew me away was how many hours you put into it.
Yeah, I'm very tired, still very tired. So I'll actually take this all the way back. In 2018, I worked for Congresswoman Omar, worked hard to get her elected. It was her first term. And one of the things that I remember on her campaign team, she was on the show called Almanac. It's like our local political show. And one of the Almanac questions was, would you defund ICE? I think there were like 6 people running, and they asked all the candidates that. Ilhan was the only one that said yes.
Yeah, she's a hero.
Yeah, she's a hero. She truly is. That was in 2018. People back then thought she was insane and crazy and all the things for saying that. But the Minneapolis voters, we already knew. We already had an immigrant population that was being targeted by them. ICE is a very young agency. It did not exist till 23 years old, did not exist for very long. And it was always clear to us in Minneapolis that ICE was going to be a problem for our community because we're a very diverse community and we have each other's back. And we knew that. Back in 2018, we were ahead of the curve. And so when this moment came, Minnesotans were just ready to go, particularly after the George Floyd uprising. We had learned how to build these mutual aid networks. And so a few months ago, the big bad bill, Trump's bill, was passed and moved tens of billions of dollars to ICE. Last week, actually Saturday of last week, I was in my friend's living room and she was like, Doran, shout out to Doran, she said, we got to take a delegation of people to DC. We were originally thinking bus tour, and I was like...
So this idea propagated itself last week.
Oh, last week. Yeah, this was not a thing on Friday, Friday. And so we were like, we got to do this. So it went from being a bus tour to on Saturday night, we're doing flights. We were like, we can't do all these stops. And so then we recruited 30 people. 61 people ended up going on this trip, which is wild. Folks who spend their time tracking the flights that ICE takes, Nick Beckinson. We had teachers, some of the folks that work with Liam, who had been abducted by ICE with his father, taken to Texas and returned. We had folks who do mutual aid, folks who are like Neighbors Helping Neighbors. They raised over $500,000 and gave it out. So all of us, Saturday night, had this idea. Wednesday, we get these folks on a plane, and we only had X amount to buy flights and coordinate all this. Folks just kept buying tickets. Folks kept just showing up. I kept getting texts like, can I come join the meeting? I'm like, of course. And so it just kept coming and coming. We were able to have meetings with Leader Jeffries' folks, and then we were able to actually meet with Chuck Schumer. We were able to meet with Senator Sanders, who's phenomenal, brought us back and actually had us meet with his team a second day. We even met with a Republican congressman from Minnesota. I wasn't in that meeting, but
Lemme?
no, Finstad.
Okay.
Yeah,
Finstad.
I might be getting the name wrong, but it was really powerful. But the reason we went is because we started to hear that some folks might be shaky and we're considering moving this $10 billion to ICE. Right. And so we took a break. This is the first time I left my state since this happened. Like, I'm an ED of an org. I have to travel a lot. I haven't left Minnesota since Thanksgiving. I've just been in the trenches here. And I was like, I have to go to DC. We have to have these conversations. We went office to office, confirming folks. We had hundreds of conversations. We met with the receptionist all the way to the member themselves. And we were very, very clear that it is 100% unacceptable if $1 goes to ICE. But then we had 2 more demands. The next demand was that we need all our people returned. What you're not going to do is just take these 3,000 officers and go home and leave our people in cells. We want them returned. And then the third was we need some type of relief program. We have a street called Eat Street. It's a small business corridor, 80% decrease in sales. Mm-hmm. We have another block where there's a business called Mercado. One of the businesses there came with us on the trip. He said his business is disseminated. It barely is floating by. Majority of the shops in his market are completely closed. And those were our demands, was that you got to get ICE out of our state, don't give them a dime. You got to return our people, and you got to help us rebuild our city. And we took our folks there. We won for this week. DHS technically right now is shut down. Yeah. And we will go back if they actually do consider moving this money. And so that was a part of the strategy. It was hard to leave the state. It was not, I was really struggling. Like when I was actually on the plane on my way, I got a text that ICE had actually gotten into a huge car accident outside of my office. I co-work out of this place called The Coven. And ICE had actually crashed into a car of someone. I think they might have hit multiple cars. And I almost thought about going back home. I was like, what was I thinking, leaving? And I stuck with it, and I stayed for the trip, and, you know, very proud of the work we've done. But yeah, the trip was very successful, happened very, very quickly, and we plan to go again if they consider moving another dollar.
Switch sides.